Hello everyone and welcome to Metagame Mastery, where it's not just about what the cards do, but how they impact the game. Core 2019 has had its big leak this weekend, and we're going to go over 18 cards that help us understand what the next stand-up meta might just look like. That way, you're not getting rid of cards that you may wind up needing just a couple months down the line. If you enjoy our content, click that like button, and if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe so you can get all our latest content. Without further ado, big time, go time. Let's go. First up, we have Goblin Instigator. He's 2 CMC, 1 colorless, and a red for a 1/1 Goblin Rogue. And when he enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 red Goblin creature token. So right out the gate, we're looking at a better dragon fodder. He is a creature that is of the Goblin type. So cards like Goblin War Chief reduce this cost down to only 1 red mana. That's a huge value. And on top of that, because it's a creature, you can exploit this enter the battlefield ability over and over again, whether it be with flicker effects or just simple reanimation for repeatable value. Something like Claim to Fame will synergize very well with this. So if you're holding on to your Siege Gang commanders or your Goblin Chain Whirlers, you're definitely onto something here, because it looks like Goblins could be an absolute force going into the next standard. Knight's Pledge is 2 CMC, 1 colorless, and a white for enchantment aura, and the enchanted creature gets +2/+2. So not as powerful as Dub, but not as costly, and definitely not as much value as, say, one with the Wind. There's been a lot of powerful auras the last year or so in Standard. This isn't going to rate in that league. What makes this card important is this reinforces something Mark Rosewater said in one of his articles that he recently published, and that's that Knight Tribal will get even more support in Core 2019. I know you see it taking over Standard right now. It's one of the hottest decks out there. It's going to get even better come this July. Dwarven Priest is 4 CMC, 3 colorless, and a white for a 2/4 Dwarf Cleric. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life for each creature you control. So this is really good in go wide decks, and it looks like there's going to be a lot of go wide both in red and white. And this is also going to get you a ton of life gain in the process. A solid defender at the 4-drop spot. This could definitely win you games in limited, especially in sealed. Daybreak Chaplain is 2 CMC, 1 colorless, and a white for a 1/3 human cleric with lifelink. The last few blocks we've been seeing 2/2s for 2 with lifelink. This is a little twist. We get a 1/3 for 2 with lifelink. So it's not going to be as aggressive as those are, not affording you that 4-point life swing early. What it does, though, is it's a very solid defensive card. Being able to block 2 1s for 1, being able to block those 2/2s and shut them down and gain you life in the process. So this is actually going to be a really solid 2-drop for your draft and sealed environments. Inspired Charge is getting a reprint. 4 CMC, 2 colorless, white for an instant. Creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. So we saw this card as recently as Kaladesh. This printing ensures that it will survive standard rotation. And in limited, this plays very well in a go wide strategy, which is supported in white, red, and presumably green as well. Mighty Leap is 2 CMC, 1 colorless, and a white for an instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 and gains flying until end of turn. Reprint from Amonkhet. This is a solid combat trick, paying 2 mana for a +2/+2 and giving evasion or being able to block an opponent's flyer that they thought was going to get through unscathed is a very powerful effect. And I think this will do great work for you in sealed and draft. Luxodon Linebreaker is 3 CMC, 2 colorless and white for a 3/2 Elephant Soldier. So if soldiers get some tribal support, this card goes up in value. But as it stands, I'd much rather have a 2/3 for 3 than a 3/2 because that 2 toughness gives it the ability to trade down with almost all 2 drops and a lot of 1 drops as well. So this is fine curve filler if you're just trying to make your deck go. It'll do the work, but at the same time, this is also going to be very fragile on the board. Anticipate is 2 CMC, 1 colorless and a blue for an instant. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So we've got a reprint here from most of the Gatewatch. This card saw standard play back in its day, and I imagine it will again at some point. It's just really solid card selection, being able to pick out the best card of the next 3. So, decent card that will now survive the next standard rotation. And Cancel is being reprinted. It's 3 CMC, 1 colorless, blue for an instant counter target spell. Core sets are where they reprint the basics, and Cancel is about as basic as it gets right now. It's already been reprinted in Ixalan, so we knew that it would survive standard. And that's really all there is to say about Cancel. You don't want to play it in standard most of the time, and maybe it gets played in some sideboards. And in limited, it's definitely a sideboard card. Disperse is 2 CMC, 1 colorless and a blue for an instant. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Another reprint we have here, and it's just solid bounce, being able to get rid of the flexibility of being able to get rid of a non-land permanent for only 2 mana. Dwindle is 3 CMC, 2 colorless and a blue for an enchantment aura. Enchanted creature gets -6/-0. When enchanted creature blocks, destroy it. So some pseudo removal for the limited game. This thing will affect static abilities, but definitely has a big impact on the combat math. Homan Speaker is being reprinted. She's 2 CMC, 1 colorless and blue for a 1/3 human wizard, and when she enters the battlefield, scry 2. Originally from Theros, was reprinted in the last Conspiracy set. This card's actually pretty neat because we're getting more wizard support, and I imagine that's going to continue to be the case. There are a lot of good wizards across the plains, and I imagine that tribe is going to have a presence in basically every set going forward. Scholar of Stars is 4 CMC, 3 colorless, and a blue for a 3/2 Human Artificer. When it enters the battlefield, if you control an artifact, draw a card. So this is a card you pick up for limited only if you're already committed to an artifact-based strategy, specifically in draft. I don't think in sealed you'll have enough to justify running this guy, because if you can't get that enter the battlefield trigger, playing a 3/2 for 4, that's the bad feels. Act of Treason, a classic card getting a reprint here. It's 3 CMC, 2 colorless and a red for a sorcery. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. Classic threaten effect. Best paired with a sack outlet. Hostile Minotaur is 4 CMC, 3 colorless and a red for a 3/3 Minotaur with haste. Guy's decent curve filler. Onaki Ogre is 3 CMC, 2 colorless and a red for a 4/2 Ogre Warrior. I hate 4/2s for 3. They're only slightly better than 3/2s for 3, but it may as well have, even though it's vanilla, it may as well have the ability to trade down in combat. Really only good if your opponent has a wide open board on turn 4. Sure Strike is back. It's 2 CMC, 1 colorless, and red. For an instant, target creature gets +3/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn. Classic combat trick. I love using this. Thrilled to see that it's getting a reprint. Tormenting Voice is 2 CMC, 1 colorless, and red. For a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast the spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards. Classic rummaging effects. We've seen it reprinted time and again, and it continues to see play. So this printing will ensure that it survives standard rotation this fall. So hopefully you got some insight from what we've gone over here today, and you're not going to just go ahead and trade cards that will only wind up going up in value. And if you enjoy our content, click that like button. If you're new to the channel, click subscribe so you can get all our latest videos. This has been Metagame Mastery. Peace!